Hello. So I'm Carolina. I'm here with Felipe Donnelly, who is part of the trio of New York City chefs who are like disruptors, who are like making impact in the New York City scene. Truth be told, we've known each other for many, many years. He is, oh my God, such a creative, has Colonia Verde and Fort Greene, has oh my god, Cosmico, has Disco Tacos, has Casa by Colonia Verde. It's like endless, incredibly inspiring. What do you hope to bring to the food scene that you hadn't seen before? I think Casa's a lot of that.
Yeah, I think Gus is a lot of that, but I think that it's our underlying mission that's been constant since Gomolo days, which is
Yeah.
um, it's bringing the experience of what Latin American hospitality really has been for us growing up, and being able to bring it into your own experience, into your life, and something that's wonderful is the idea of being able to sit around a table for hours on end and share and talk and being able to transport yourself into a different place. And I think we try to do that in all of our businesses, and we try to do that with all of our instances, including Gus. And I think that's what we try to bring in constantly. And I want to see that. I want to feel that. I don't. One of the big things that I feel that New York suffers from is the the idea that time is somebody else's. Mm-hmm. And so when you sit down at a restaurant, you know that you're like, I have an hour and a half to eat because I need to move this table. And yes, it's a business, and yes, we need to be able to move tables in order to make profit. I get that that's important, but at the same time, what's important for me and important for us is that you are also in an experience and you're transported somewhere else, and that you have that moment of magic that isn't just, oh, this food's delicious. It's, this restaurant's amazing. The service is awesome. Everybody's friendly. Everybody, and it just transports you to wherever you need to go.
I'm here with Melissa Weller, who's part of three chefs that we're interviewing, three New York City chefs we found are breaking ground. And of course there's many, but we wanted to highlight Melissa and all her accomplishments. You're a mother, you were a chemical engineer, still are. I was like reading up on you, and you know, nice. You have Roberta's per se. I mean, such a long list.
It's a long list now.
Did chemical engineering help you with baking at all?
Yeah, it helps. Yeah, it does. It's chemistry, right? And organic chemistry is like a big part of cooking and understanding cooking, because we're cooking with like organic things, organic matter. And so that all comes into play for sure.
What do you hope to bring to the food industry that was missing before?
I like teaching. I like sharing my knowledge. I definitely want to do more of that. I want to be able to like do more classes in how I would like to do classes. I think that those are things, sharing knowledge. I think that's important to me.
Tell us a little bit about how you got into the industry, this amazing industry.
Well, in my house, there was always a rule that whoever got to cook didn't get to wash the dishes. And that's probably how I started cooking, just, you know, with that as a main motivator. And then I started staging at kitchens around Oaxaca, and I never turned back after that. I was completely in love.
What do you want to bring to the New York food scene that like you haven't seen before?
Oh my God, tortillas. I don't know why it hasn't been done before, but yeah, we're really focused on nixtamal. We're really focused on making a really great tortilla.
We're here at the Disruptors for Spark Network with Chef Felipe Donnelly and pastry chef Melissa Weller. Thank you guys for being here. This is very
Thank you for having us.
Sorry for that.
Thank you.
In many ways. So yeah, a little bit of background on both of you. Melissa is a master pastry chef
cookbook author. You'll shed more light on this, but I believe you started your career in like chemical engineering. So curious to hear more. You're a mother, you're based out of Brooklyn, and I still remember the first time I had one of your croissants. And then we have Felipe Donnelly, dear friend, true inspiration, owner, executive chef of Colonia Verde, Cosmico and Casa by Colonia Verde, and Comparti, and oh my God, so many different things. Has been a great teacher to me. So thank you guys. We have not as much time as we had hoped, so I'm gonna just jump into it. Talk to me a little bit about how you got into the industry. You both are, I'd say you're continuing to break new ground in the New York industry. I really believe that. But yeah, tell me a little bit. Melissa, why don't you start? How you got?
Okay, let me know if you can't. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm a career changer. I'm older in the industry. I'm 48, and I didn't start working in the industry until I was about 30. I worked as a chemical engineer first. That was my training in college. In college, I double majored at international relations and spent a year in France and chemical engineering. And so I dreamed about doing something in food. That was in the 90s, and I really wanted to do something in food. And I just took the leap. There was a certain point in my late 20s, I just took a leap. I went to culinary school, French Culinary Institute. A little bit before that, I just jumped in and tried to work in restaurants in San Francisco and San Diego, and that led me to come back. I'm from the East Coast, so I came back to New York to study at the French Culinary Institute. That was in 2003. And then I've just been here in New York City working as a baker, primarily in this industry for the last 10 plus years.
That's amazing. So much more I want to ask. Felipe, you're also a career changer.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty much exactly the same thing. I did international relations as well, and a career change. I didn't do chemical engineering. However, I was in advertising, so very, very different. I think it was in 2011 where I completely changed careers and started cooking. And I did not do the culinary school thing. My wife and I started doing dinners at our house, and we started inviting random people. And we, due to the nature of me being extremely curious with food and knowing that it was something that I wanted to be looking at and dealing with and being a part of, we would be inviting 8 people to our house every week, totally different, and every week was a different menu, and trying to see if there was something that I could start going on. And essentially, I used a full year of inviting people to our house for free as my culinary education and seeing if it could work. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I attended some of those. They're really fun. So, COVID has obviously continues to be a topic. I feel like in terms of breaking new ground, it was an opportunity to continue to break ground. And how do you feel like you've approached your career or your life with that as a theme, I guess? Felipe, if you want to start.
Sure. I think there's nothing easy about what happened. There's nothing easy there's no way to ever say that what we went through as an industry and what we've gone through individually has been easy. We were slapped with one of those unpredictable events, one of those things that nobody could really even fathom as a worst case scenario. And I think us in the industry, we walk in the door always thinking, what is the worst case? What is the worst thing that could happen today, and how are we going to deal with it? Because that's the industry we work in. And it was one of those, we could have never imagined what just happened. And so dealing with these challenges, and I think that's part of the beauty of the industry that we do work in, is we deal with challenges on a daily basis. So it's one of those things that we are prone to know how to get through the worst cases. That's really, it's what I try to at least focus and tell myself every day that that's what we're good at. But rethinking career and rethinking the business plan was probably the most difficult part of all of this. And And so, yeah, I think we went into the online world and we turned into a restaurant, into a virtual world, and it's still going. We still have Casa by Colonia Verde that's sending meals out on a daily basis. We send prepared foods, we send meal kits, we send retail goods, and we are also still very much involved in the new part of the business, which is a community focus, which was something that we weren't really involved with before the pandemic. And as soon as it hit, it was one of those, how have we not been doing this before? And so we are sending 500 meals more or less a week up to Harlem to an amazing group called Brotherhood Sister Soul, that's very much focused on right now helping the people that don't have access to food, which is a lot. It's a lot of them. So it's all part of it.
Thank you. And how about you, Melissa?
Well, I think my experience through COVID's been different in the sense that when we shut High Street on Hudson down in the middle of March, I don't think anyone anticipated how long it would last. And I just assumed that in a couple of months we'd be up and going again. Only High Street didn't reopen. And then it did reopen in August, but it didn't reopen the bakery part. And I think if I back in my career, the last 10 years, I've had various different partnerships. I've always enjoyed working with a team and have always looked for partnerships and I haven't been necessarily interested in going solo. And as a baker in a bakery, I've always joined forces with a restaurant group as a team, like restaurant bakery team. So High Street didn't reopen its bakery. And so this is the longest I had been unemployed in my entire life. I have been unemployed longer now than I was when I was pregnant and gave birth to my son. I wasn't expecting it at all. I didn't think, I'm going to be unemployed for 6 or 7 months. And, as somebody in the industry, like when you get into this industry, you're aware of like how much or how little you get paid, you try as much as you can to save and have, but it's not really enough to sustain me for 6 or 7 months. And, then I was faced with, well, what do I do now? I don't have a place now. I don't have a place of my own, but I have a skill set and I have a cookbook that's coming in. I do with all of these things. And I literally didn't, I think because over the summer, I started to try to formulate some plans. One of the plans was, okay, I'll write this, I'll work on a second cookbook. And then I was really like, well, what am I going to do? I don't pop-ups at different places. I'm a very organized person. And when you put me into it's all of this like stress and anxiety, and it just don't do well. Like, and I'm like, is that what to make ends meet? Like really for me, it's sort of about like survival. Like I've got to pay my bills. I've got to pay my, what do I need to do to like make it work? So.
Yeah. You just made me think of another.
Take a breath. So I just, I basically just started putting the word out at mid-August, late August. And I'm like, it doesn't take, I have a great network. It doesn't take very long. And I was able to put together something that works really well for me right now. So I'm doing sort of a pop-up, but not a pop-up at Gertie in Williamsburg, which is my neighborhood where I live. So it works really well for me. I can walk there. I can create things for them that they need. It's a bakery, and everybody loves bakeries these days. Especially something that's local like that, and something that's doing good. And so I think for me in COVID and where a year ago, I don't really even know, except that I'll probably just keep looking for like these opportunities. And I feel actually really fortunate that I'm like where I'm at in my career, that I have a network and I can go out and around, because I know for a while one baker who was who was unemployed, who was desperate, like lives in the Bronx, desperate to work, and was commuting all the way from the Bronx all the way to Greenpoint. That it was like an hour and a half commute each way, just because she was so desperate for a job. So I think I'm just really mindful of what done to our industry from that point of view mostly.
Yeah. I think I'm going to join, since we have not as much time as I wanted to, I'm going to kind of join questions, which is on that note, on both of what you guys shared, like, how do you stay on track and like continue to be creative when you're exhausted? Like, I definitely know that feeling, and you're like, oh my God, okay, reinvent. And then also how that relates to like trends. You know, it's like cooking for a trend, no. Or, you know, like standing out. So how does like one stand out? So there's a couple questions in there, and kind of respond as you wish. Whoever wants to start, actually.
Yeah, I want to start by saying, Melissa, I feel you, man. I feel you so hard, and I'm so empathetic, and you know, we can talk after. We have a home in Williamsburg too. That's a big kitchen. If you ever want some space too. This is crazy times. These are, and to God, I think to answer your question, I think right now, who gives a shit about trends? You know, like, let's focus on what we need to focus on, and we need to ourselves to really put ourselves out there and try to, you know, go with what we have. If it's a stew, it's a stew. You know, if it's some beautiful cinnamon rolls that are the best you've ever had in your life, then that's what you have too. You know, it's really it really comes down to, I think, what you're able to offer and what you're able to just put out. You know, and that's the bottom line. And I think that might be the trend of like, just focus on yourself and put out your best product, and try not to impress, but try to do it for yourself and for what you know people really want. You know, I think that's one of the big things and one of the big learnings right now.
I agree. Thank you. Melissa, thoughts?
Yeah, you know, I think I'm trends and what's happening right now. I'm pretty burnt out of having to make a cinnamon roll. I'm like always asked to do I'm asked to do the same things. I'm like asked and I think that's part of just what's happening right now is taking care of oneself and taking care of you know your inner self and your emotions and your well-being. What's that? And to carve out time every day for yourself, which I'm really making more of a priority than I ever have. And then when I'm asked to do the same things that I don't really feel like doing, I'm okay with it. I just like put my head down and I just, you know, want to keep going. And I think like the parts and the parts that to me aren't trends are the true parts to me. And I think I save those like for when I'm like not doing it professionally. Like I think that's what happens when I'm just home with my family. And just, you know, cooking more from my heart. And I think that's the part that I want to save and keep close to me. And if I have to make another chocolate babka, fine. That's what I'm known for. You know, do I want to make another chocolate babka? I don't need to. Do I love to teach people how to make it? Absolutely. And I think just trying to like, you know, just take a day by day. And I don't know what the future will be, and no one knows what the future will be, but just, you know, a day at a time for me.
Melissa, thank you so much for your vulnerability and your honesty. And we have 2 more minutes, but I wanted to see if maybe I could ask the 3 of you some questions since we don't have Zach. Just a quick lightning. Caro, Melissa, and Felipe, who are your, you know, sort of groundbreakers that you think are doing amazing things right now in New York City as well?
I didn't know I was going to ask questions.
You're on the spot.
I mean, I do want to shed light on. He's doing really incredible work. I wish that he could have been here today, but I want to give him a shout out. He's at Silver Masa and has incredible integrity when it comes to knowledge on corn and masa and food from Oaxaca. And certainly the people who are present on this panel today. But we have very little time. I want to speak, but that's my person. Who's next?
Go, Melissa. I mean, look, I'll piggyback on you. I think Zach is doing some beautiful things. I think right what's happening in the world of going deep into the Mexican cuisine, into other than just the simple tacos, but like what the essence of tacos are, and understanding what the tortilla, and really understanding where the masa is coming from and where the corn is something that's spectacular. I feel Zach is gonna throw us to a whole new level and a generation that's just as well as the guys from All Things Good and Bed-Stuy. They're just killing it. It's really something that's spectacular and unseen, other than what you've seen at Cosme and Alto. It's unseen at the level of neighborhood that you just go and expect such amazing food.
Agreed. Gave me the chills.
Melissa, anyone that comes to mind for you?
Oh, are you? I'm sorry. I some of it's a little fuzzy on this end with the reception.
The question is, who is a groundbreaker for you?
Who is a groundbreaker for me? I think I admire Moonlin Tsai at Kopitiam, and I think I respect how hard she's worked through the whole pandemic, and how she's worked to feed the elderly Asian community in Chinatown who aren't able to get out of their homes to get food. And I think it's that community work that's really admirable to me. There are so many different restaurants that are doing more community work, and I think to me that's the most groundbreaking thing of the whole city and the whole industry. And I actually feel like New York. So I've had an opportunity in the last month to do some interviews, and I've noticed a lot of Chicago cooks and chefs, and I'm a little surprised by that because I always consider Chicago such a great food community and town, and I think that they're coming here because of the ability for us to have outdoor dining the way we do, and I think that that's groundbreaking too. So I feel like there's a lot of like good coming out of this difficult time.
And Elizabeth, we had talked about Millie Peartree.
Wow.
She posted something. She's doing incredible work. So calling her out.
Shout out to Millie, who pivoted her catering company into feeding hungry kids in the Bronx. So that's really cool. Okay.
Guess I can't ask. Sigh.
However, I do want to say to the people in the room, and we also put this in the general chat for all, hundreds of people attending, that is now the lunch break, and we have all of your restaurants linked in the booths and set up, so that everybody knows to go check it out and order takeout and partake and take a look around your websites, etc., etc. And Melissa, congratulations on your cookbook.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Zach,
Thank you for having me.